Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope you guys are doing great today and ready to discuss this movie that I am 2 weeks late to watching. Yes, 2 weeks late. But hey, better late than never. I guess I should probably formally introduce this. I watched Tall Girl 2, which is the sequel of Tall Girl. And if you don't know what Tall Girl is, it's a movie about a tall girl named Jody and her journey as a young tall woman in, I think she's in high school. Yeah, in high school. She was bullied a lot. Of course, the main bully was our girl, Kimmy, our fave. And basically the rest of the school always saying, yeah, how's the weather up there? And calling her mean names like Sasquatch or whatever. And she just learns to power through it and stand up for herself. And she eventually just gains confidence in her height and she starts to love her height. So that's something that we definitely want to talk about in this podcast. Now, I did a review of the first movie, which I'll link below because I'm not going to get too much into detail about it, but I basically said that the movie itself was a little too much. I feel like they could have probably pulled back in some places, especially the tall girl problems. I feel like trying to show the tall girl problems was a little extreme, in my opinion, of course. And I think they could have pulled back in that, and they probably could have done more in others, tried to make it more relatable in a high school type of sense, like high school life. You know what I mean? She basically just went around complaining about her height. She was at school and then went home, and that's it. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people in high school, especially when I was in high school, has a bunch of extracurriculars. Like, was she on the volleyball team? Was she? Okay, that's such a typical thing to say because she's tall. It's like, oh, is she on the volleyball team? But was she in chorus? Was she in band? I mean, probably she was, but they just did not make it as obvious as they could have. And I feel like I wanted more of that. I mean, was it accurate? Was the bullying, well, some of the bullying, most of the bullying, not all of it, but was the bullying accurate? Yeah. Was her self-esteem as a tall girl around that age accurate? Yeah. Was some of her thoughts and her feelings accurate? Yes, because as a tall girl, I feel like we've all had that in our lives at some point. We've all felt that at some point in our lives. So I feel like it was definitely accurate in some places, but just very, very extreme. But yeah, check out the full episode, of course. So it's linked below, as I said before. And then you could come back to this one so you could kind of get a sense of what I'm about to talk about. And I think that after you listen to it, you'll realize that I basically went through the characters and analyzed them in terms of the movie instead of talking about the plot as a whole. So I feel like doing the character analysis, we're getting some big words in here, character analysis, such English vibes, literature vibes, I guess. But the character analysis will kind of help things make sense in this episode. And that's why I say that if you did not listen to the first episode, be sure to do so before you listen to this one. So yeah, you get an understanding of who's who and what's what in the movie. And also, just letting you know, this episode does contain spoiler alerts, so if you don't want any of those, if you didn't watch the movie yet and you don't want to know what's happening because you want to watch the movie before you listen to this, I totally suggest that you click off of this podcast, go watch the movie, and then come back later, or even listen to the first one and then watch the second movie and then come back later. So first, I think I want to start off with the tall girl problems aspect in this movie because that's honestly the center of the movie. That's the center of the relatability of the movie. That's what we're looking for as tall girls. And of course, before jumping into the tall girl problems, I think that I should probably explain what the movie is about a little bit more, just to give everybody a, refresh. But this movie is basically about a tall girl named Jody from the first movie who wants to audition for her school play, but the stresses of confidence, not necessarily in her body sense, but more so in herself. And can she perform as everybody expects her to, as everybody kind of pressures her to? Can she perform and live up to their standard? And that's basically what the movie's about. Her and the school play and how it really affects her relationships with other people and her boyfriend, Dunkelman. Yes, I got the name correct this time. If you listen to the first episode, you know I called her Dunkerman. Called him Dunkerman. Thanks, Stieg. For that is Dunkelman. Anyways, but I feel like in terms of the tall girl problems, they did an amazing job in showing those in comparison to the last movie. It was more subtle and less flashy, you know? I mean, do you even know what do I mean by this? In the first movie, they would kind of display the tall girl problems through dialogue a lot. Like 86% of the display, I guess you could say, of the tall girl problems was mainly through dialogue, through her complaining constantly about her height, or people walking past and I was like, haha, how's the weather up there, and all those other cruel jokes that they made. But I feel like they never really showed it through body language, through action. Yes, through action. They did a lot of showing through dialogue, but not through action. And I feel like that would have made the movie so much funnier. The first movie, so much funnier if she did that. But in this movie, they really pulled back and they really just did a good job with showing it through action. Like, for example, when her and Dunkelman got ice cream at a food truck in one of the seatings, and the little hanging lights that were on the food truck were hitting her in her face. Perfect example of how they show tall girl problems through action instead of her saying, oh my gosh, why are these lights so low? Like, stop making it obvious and make it more subtle. This is what we want. This is what I liked about that. And even when she was in rehearsal for the play and she was doing a dance and she did a little spin kick and kicked the girl dead in her face. I'm sorry, but that was hilarious. I cackled at that scene. But things like that is something that made the movie less cringy and very entertaining to watch. Like, yes, I dead smack other people in the face with my long limbs. I can relate to that. That was hilarious. I feel that. And I felt like that definitely made the movie more entertaining and more relatable. And I guess kind of less flashy when it came to tall girl problems. I don't even know if that makes sense. But I really liked that part. Now, I do want to touch on Dunkelman and his whole relationship with Jodie and basically that whole spiel, because that was a very big part of the movie. I just want to say that Dunkelman really repped for the short guys out there that are looking for tall girls. Like, he was in no way insecure about his height in comparison to her. He was not insecure about the fact that he was shorter than her. And he had no problem carrying around a milk crate just so that he could be taller than her when he kissed her, so that she doesn't feel, I guess, bad about it. Honestly, did he really need that? No. That's why I kind of like the scene when the milk crate broke and he fell through it, because, like, you don't need a milk crate to kiss her. It doesn't matter. The height difference just doesn't matter. And I just absolutely loved when he stood up for Jodie when people were coming for her height. Did you guys realize that Jake from State Farm was in that movie? I was weak, but Dunkelman really had the courage to stand up for Jodie to Jake from State Farm. Why did Jake from State Farm have to come for her height? I don't know, but it was hilarious that Jake from State Farm was even there, and Dunkelman really stood up to Jake from State Farm for Jodie. Yes. And honestly, he was really good up until the point where they broke up. I just feel like that part was very immature, how they broke up. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to, I guess, crack first or apologize first. Okay, yeah, I guess I can see on his side, like, I kind of agree. Jodie really did not have to leave the anniversary date to rehearse her lines, but it was just immature how the whole thing happened. Like, at a school lunch table, come on. And I guess in terms of like a relationship and stuff like that, I honestly wish that there was more drama, more suspense. Like, I wish that Tommy, the other lead in the school play, would try to do more to steal Jodie from Dunkelman. Like, he was very mature in the end when he told her to go be with Dunkelman, even though he was really feeling her. But I don't know, he could have like done some type of sabotage, something to sabotage the relationship, make Jodie want him more than Dunkelman, or even Kimmy, like the original bully. Like, she could have sabotaged Jodie and Dunkelman's relationship so that she could get the lead part in the school play instead of being the understudy, you know? Like, I just wanted something more, something like that, but I guess this wasn't that type of movie. And finally, I do want to touch on the main message of this movie, because my main message in this podcast really is parallel to the main message in that movie. And that message is, you're never done with your self-acceptance, self-love, self-growth journey. Like, we see the growth in Jodie and how she became confident in her height, and now she's comfortable in being tall. And it's like, now how does that confidence carry over into other parts of her life, with her being in the school play as a lead, for an example? We see this idea of imposter syndrome. Like, she feels like she's not good enough. Oh, she just got lucky that she got the part, but that was only like beginner's luck. You know, she did not deserve it. It's kind of like too good to be true. It was like a big dream to her. And it's kind of like similar to loving your height. Like, oh my gosh, like, I love my height. I'm comfortable. I'm confident. But this is too good to be true. And her constantly hearing her negative thoughts, and ultimately that leading to her anxiety, is not just something that tall girls can relate to, but all girls, all of the younger population, honestly, can relate to, because we do struggle with that. And in the end, we see that Jodie conquered her negative thoughts. And we can learn that we can't necessarily get rid of those negative thoughts, but we can choose to turn the volume down and speak nicely to ourselves, speak kindly to ourselves, have faith in ourselves, and tell ourselves, like, yes, I can do this. I am good enough. And all in all, it was a really nice message. It's something that I really, really agreed with. And that's, I guess, something I analyzed in that movie. So honestly, I give this movie a 7.7 out of 10. There were still some parts that were cringy or random or even unnecessary, like the parents. Like, sometimes the parents would talk, or even when Harper would talk. I don't know, I just feel like it wasn't there, but I mean, good there. But the big picture works for me. I like the message that they came up with. So would I recommend it? Yes. But if you are more so looking for suspense and drama and stuff like that, no. But it's like a good teen movie. Like, if you want to feel good about your height, feel good, feel happy ending and all of that, totally watch it. And yeah, that's what I thought about Tall Girl 2. I personally liked it better than Tall Girl 1. And let me know what you think. Hit me up on my socials at A Tall Girls Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. Let me know what you thought of this movie. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? In terms of the episode and the movie, of course. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for supporting me, hitting me up, and saying, oh my gosh, I love your podcast. It really means so much to me. And I honestly love you guys for it. And I can't wait to keep growing with you guys. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Good night and goodbye.